DMac, can you hear me?
What's going on? It's our boy Mike Sanford, and it's DMac. What's going on, Mike? You got me?
I got you, man. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure my audio. I'm not getting you in my ears yet. Hold on.
All right.
Let me try that again.
Get
Are we
together.
live?
We are live. We
All
are
right, hold
as
on. So I get
live
these
as we
suckers
can
fired
be.
up.
I'm just getting okay. I got a little issue with Vic, but we'll see if Vic can't get on there. Where are you, Mike?
Well, I am doing a little bit of a staycation right now.
How's that?
Well, I'm doing it with my wife is out of town. She's at a conference, kind of a work
Okay.
conference.
All right.
And so I am doing a staycation at the Gaylord.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I wanted to get a little closer to Dove Valley from my house. I'm taking the kids tomorrow to watch practice. And,
Really?
Yeah. So I'm going to be – I actually learned today that if you're not broadcasting live from Dove Valley, then you might as well be up on the hill because that is the best.
Kind of, yeah.
That's the best view. There's no doubt in that.
Yep. We're going to get Vic on. Yeah, it's funny just how they've done things over the years. And I've been covering, gosh, I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. This may be my 25th training camp covering the Broncos. How about that? I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. First of all, welcome to the show. This is a first for us as we're broadcasting a podcast on Altitude Sports Radio platforms as well as my own. And I had a problem with Mike. I'll figure that out, Mike. I will figure it out. But the fact that I can do anything technically is, well, stunning.
It's a win.
This is the training camp react. It's day 3. And what the concept here is, at least, as people sort of, eventually are like, what is this? What are we doing? What is everything here? We're trying to figure things out in terms of the technology. And sometimes that is tricky. But look at Mike at the Gaylord. And the concept is here is to hang out for a half hour or so and tell you about training camp, and tell you about the Broncos, our impressions of what happened that day. We're going to try to do this every day during training camp. But I don't want to, you're in your family time. But it is a chance to talk about football, Mike.
I'll never turn down that opportunity, DMac.
No, I know that.
It felt good to be out there today, man. It really did.
Did it really?
Oh man, I was fired up. So I ended up going about an hour and a half before Dempsey and Company started at 10.
Yeah.
I dropped my wife off at the airport. My 14-year-old's watching the two boys, and I was like, I'm gonna go over there and just take it in. I love watching the before practice. Even as a coach, I just loved getting out there from time to time super early and just seeing what people's routines are. Like John Morton, the pass game coordinator, was out there. I think he did about 20 laps around all 3 fields. It was just a lot of fun seeing everybody's, football is one of those games, man. The intensity level of even a practice, you have to do something to get your mind in the right space to go perform at a very high level.
Did you give me your resume? It's very impressive. I'm not questioning your resume, but just to spell out, because I don't know how many pro teams that you worked with, if any. I'm not sure about. You never did.
So my dad did. My dad was a wide receiver coach for the San Diego Chargers when Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback. But I was college specifically, and frankly, early on in my career, it's the route I wanted to go because I thought recruiting was something that I loved doing. I loved having the opportunity to control your own personnel. And so I did that. And it's funny with now the portal being what it is and NIL being what it is, every college coach, including myself a year or two ago, is trying to get into the NFL. But I really enjoyed the college landscape. So I played at Boise State, as you know, played quarterback there. And then I GA'd for my dad, was the head coach at UNLV. And then I worked for Jim Harbaugh at Stanford for a couple of years as an analyst, offensive quality control. I coached quarterbacks. Then I went over to Yale for a year, Western Kentucky for a year. And then I was back at Stanford for 3 years with David Shaw. Went to Boise State as the offensive coordinator for a year. Notre Dame as the offensive coordinator for 2 years. And then I went down to Western Kentucky as a head coach. And I was a young head coach, 33 years old when I was hired. And then I was a young fired head coach at 36.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, brother. And then I went to Utah State where I coached Jordan Love, who just got
Oh my God,
220
dude.
million buckaroos.
Can you believe that? That happened about a half hour before we're on the air here. Can you believe that?
I know for us, like we have to put the hat on as sports analysts and sports commentators, and we're required to say it's a dumb deal. What are we doing? But I'll be honest, like knowing Jordan Love's personal story, knowing who he is as a person. I mean, he lost his dad in 8th grade to suicide. And he got pulled off of a basketball court by his uncle, his dad's brother. And for he and his mother was a police officer. His dad was a police officer in Bakersfield, California. I mean, this is obviously, I'm just like, for me, I know it's a lot of money. I know it's crazy, but for me to know that his mom and Jordan, the fact that they're set up for life, like that's a great feeling for me.
Yeah. Hey, Vic Lombardi joins us. Hey, Vic, how you doing, brother? You getting things set? You good?
Yeah. Why can't I get myself centered here? What's going on here? What kind of weird witchcraft do you have going on here? Why can't I get centered?
I think if you're just straight on into whatever camera, you're gonna be fine.
Let me turn it this way and see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's looking good.
Okay, great. All right, now I'm centered.
Vic, what do you think about Jordan Love becoming the highest paid quarterback ever? That happened just about a half hour or so
Well,
ago.
I saw that. He's just next in line, man. It's become a next in line league.
Yeah.
The NFL, it's so funny. I was thinking about this as soon as that deal became official, and I knew it would be eventually. The NFL is becoming financially, when it comes to labor agreements, more like the NBA each day. And the NBA, and what they're trying to do television-wise, media-wise, is becoming more like the NFL.
Yeah.
Both leagues are reaching this point of no return where they're chasing each other. I mean, look at the guaranteed money on that deal, and you tell me, the NFL is going.
Vic just signed himself off.
I'll tell you what, it was an impactful 29 seconds, though. Very highly impactful 29.
He had me going. He was right there. All right, we'll get to the Broncos here in a second. Do you think they need to have a salary cap for quarterbacks in the NFL, Mike?
Yeah, I do think there's going to end up being an NFLPA and ownership agreement that this is getting out of control. And there's going to end up being, I think, a positional group cap that you can pay your particular position group a maximum amount of money. And I was today years old when I learned that the NBA max contract has something to do with your accolades that preceded that contract. That's not an NFL thing now. It's a pure laissez-faire economics component in the NFL. So I do think there might be a component of the NBA max contract mathematics as it relates to the NFL. I think it'll be a positional cap, and then the overage will be determined by your accolades that lead up to that contract. Playoff wins, Super Bowls, MVPs, those kinds of things.
Yeah, because the question right now is, do you have a quarterback who you're paying $50 million a year to, or do you have a quarterback on your team you can see paying $50 million a year to, one way or the other? And obviously, if you're going to end up, Mike, paying a quarterback $50 million a year, you're better off getting a young guy who may reach that level and build around him as quick as you can. Because at some point, if you want to be successful, you're going to have that guy or a guy worth it. So the big question is, when we look at training camp today, do we see a guy who's going to be worthy of being paid $50 million a year? And welcome back, Vic.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. No problem.
Hey, Vic, you were on an absolute heater, man. I want you to finish that statement, your comments on the merging of the two worlds.
Yeah, I just see the amount of money being thrown out in both leagues right now, and I think the NBA understands that media is most important. The NFL found that out a long time ago. Eyeballs are most important. The amount of eyeballs that capture your product is most important. So they're really making sure to take the full gamut of media opportunities. And the NFL, meanwhile, their players slowly but surely are generating these guaranteed contracts, which is something the NFL has wanted to stay away from for years. Nobody in the NFL wants guaranteed contracts, and I think we all know the arguments for and against, but this is where they're headed. Look at the guaranteed money in this deal for this quarterback. How much is it? $150 million?
Yeah, so it's $155 million guaranteed, and then a $75 million just sign your name.
Yeah.
$75 million signing bonus, which we all know are broken up and incentivized throughout the longevity of the contract.
Coach, that would have been unheard of just 10 years ago. Nobody did guaranteed deals in the NFL. It was just complete. It was considered verboten. The owners didn't want it, and the union fought for it, and now we're moving in that direction. And I wonder how long before every contract has some sort of guaranteed fund available.
I would just imagine. I would love to see the dang near seizure that Peyton Manning had when he heard these numbers of Jordan Love, who's had success in 7, 8, 9 games, and he's getting paid 5x of what Peyton Manning made maybe in his final contract. Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the market, though.
If they don't pay it, if the Packers don't pay it, somebody else will. This is where we are. It's the exact same scenario that the Denver Nuggets faced 3-4 years ago. If they don't pay Michael Porter Jr. a max contract, somebody else would have. If they didn't pay Jamal Murray a max contract, somebody else would have.
Right.
You paint yourself into a corner. And for the Nuggets, it worked. They won an NBA championship. So I'm not trying to say it was bad, but this is the lay of the land now with these leagues. You got this big money for the big-time franchise players, and if you don't pay it, somebody will.
All right, well, let me go to the field today. Which of those 3 quarterbacks for the Broncos could you see making $50 million a year?
I don't think any of them at this current rate could, but Bo Nix is probably the only possibility down the road, Coach. I mean, I've seen enough of these practices to tell you it all looks the same to me. It all looks the same. They're throwing underneath. They're throwing these, they're all throwing at the same time. It's confusing. I mean, come on. How could you deduce who's going to be a $50 million quarterback by watching that?
Yeah, as practice did go on, even though we weren't in a great position to watch the 11-on-11 competitive part of practice, I will say that there were a couple things that I noticed. For example, there was a phenomenal outbreaking throw about 14 yards on the sideline across the field that Zach Wilson threw to Greg Dulcich in traffic. It was like one of those types of throws that you have to make in the National Football League to stay on the field on 3rd down and 8. So yeah, he has the requisite talent, in my opinion, to be that guy. But man, there's just so many issues with the trauma that's been induced on him via the New York Jets that I just don't know if there's going to be enough time to allow Zach Wilson to be rehabilitated in time for the Broncos to be worthy of that $50 million contract that we're talking about.
Well, there's a question from Bittersweets. I'm a Zach Wilson super fan. Could there be a possibility of him starting, Vic?
The only possibility would be if somebody falls flat on their face. I don't think he's their first choice at this point. Could be a second. I don't know. But one of those other guys has to fall completely on. Bo Nix would have to just fall apart or get hurt. That's the only way I see Zach Wilson starting at this point.
Mike?
The thing that I see right now is the 4 or 5 OTA minicamp practices that I watched. And when I evaluate the practice, I do look at the competitive 11-on-11 components of practice. And that's the part that I really think that is being evaluated, not just routes on air, not even 7-on-7. I actually was really impressed in OTAs and minicamp by Bo Nix just doing things that just are required of the quarterback position in operating the offense, taking what the defense gives you, not putting forth many turnover worthy plays. I actually think he might have regressed a little bit at the beginning of this training camp. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint of physically. I wonder if he's pressing a little bit. I wonder if there's, that he feels like he has to go out and win this job maybe on day 1 of training camp, when in reality, it is a bit of a marathon, not a sprint. So I do think that Zach Wilson, to be honest, he looks better than he did in minicamp. He looks like he's maybe 5 demons less than he had that he carried onto the field in OTAs. So I don't know. I think it's worth watching. And either way, if Bo Nix is a starting quarterback and does well, Sean Payton's a genius. If Zach Wilson's a starting quarterback and does well, Sean Payton's a genius. The odd man out, in my opinion, is Jarrett Stidham.
Why is Jarrett Stidham there, Vic? Why is he even on the field right now?
I think it's a security blanket move. He was a guy that knows the offense, and he's also a guy who probably willing enough in the eyes of Sean Payton to share what he knows about the offense with some of these other guys. He's only going to go so far. I don't know how tough it gets and how competitive does it get in those rooms. Like, is Jarrett Stidham hiding his notes, Coach? Is he like sitting there saying, "You guys, yeah, I know certain things about this offense. You guys will never learn." What's it like in the room?
Well, they're all Gen Zers, right? The generation of participation trophies, and also with that comes nobody's going to play those old games that we used to play back in the day of, hey, let's not give any edge up to my competition. To be honest, like they're probably working as a group, like as a quarterback unit to try to get better collectively, which I think sometimes is a bit of a, I don't know. I'm not always here for that. Sometimes I like a guy that's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go out and freaking take this job. I'm going to steal this job. And who knows? There might be one of them that is going to ultimately do that and separate.
Coach, I mean, listen, Peyton Manning didn't have to compete for his job, but he competed for every rep, as you well know, DMac. He was not going to give anybody extra rep. He wasn't going to be bothered by competition. He was there to get better every practice, and therein lies the difference that you just explained. Look at DMac. He knows how to set this system up. We don't know. He's not going to teach us. He doesn't give a crap about teaching this whole thing. He set this whole thing up tonight. Look at all this beautiful graphic package here.
It is beautiful.
At the top of the screen. How'd you do all this? What are you doing?
I'm not telling you.
Yeah, I know you're not.
Look at that. That's a question for Mike. I'm not telling you how I know how to do that. I'm not doing that. Why would I tell you that? I'm not doing. Hey, you want to hear from Sean? How about this? You want to hear about Jamal Murray making a shot? I'm not.
Jamal Murray made a shot.
I'm telling you how I did that.
Freaking amazing. Hey, I got to turn my stove off. My pizza's going to burn up. Give me 5 minutes.
Oh, of course it's got to be a Paisan. The man's got a Paisan in the oven. I love it. Right on brand.
We'll get back to Vic when he's ready to go. All right, Mike, observations from today. Give me your maybe top two or three.
Okay, I'm going completely positive. I'm going completely optimistic today because I had so much fun being out there, and I'm so grateful that Sean Payton.
Well, time out. Wait, hold on a second. Was this your first NFL training camp practice?
Well, I mean, I lived at training camp with my dad. As a kid, I was the ball boy for the San Diego Superchargers back in 1997.
But as an adult, after the age of 12, is this the first training camp practice you've been at?
So when I was the head coach of Western Kentucky, we had a player that was playing for the Tennessee Titans. So I went down to one, but it's different. You kind of go as a media member, 100%. Absolutely, it is.
Did this feel any different than in the spring and the mandatory mini camps to you?
It felt a lot different. And you know what feels different? I think there's a life cycle and a clock for a coach, and I've lived that life cycle. And when you're in spring football and college football, or in the case of the NFL OTAs and minicamp, like you got a lot of time in front of you. The urgency and the pucker factor. You get that pucker factor in the NFL and college football when August and late July rolls around, and you feel it. I think you feel it a little bit even with the quarterbacks and how they're performing. I felt like having the fans there, it changes everything. Like football is a game that's made to be played in front of humanity, and it creates that type of competition that you saw today. And back to what I thought was positive about the day, DMac.
Yeah,
I loved what I saw from the running back group. Absolutely loved what I saw from the running back group. So Javonte Williams, if I looked at him in OTAs and minicamp, and I said it to somebody was right next to me. It might have been you. It might have been Andy Lindahl. I said he looks a little overweight. He doesn't look very explosive. I'll be honest, I saw him again up close today, and I'm like, he looks the same, to be really honest. Like eyeball test, he looks the same. Until the team period started, and I saw his burst. I saw his explosiveness. He looked every bit as advertised, and gave Broncos fans, in my opinion, today a lot of reason to be optimistic about him being, a top 15 back in the National Football League. Jaleel McLaughlin looked really good today. I estimate looked really good today.
It's funny you say that, and you speak about what looks really good. Take a look at that right there.
Nice.
Really good.
Nice.
I saw Jaleel McLaughlin in the open field, and he had a burst. And I swear to God, I was watching. I think I was with Lionel Bienvenu, and I go, "What the hell?" It was like a gazelle.
He was a track star. It was like I was watching the 4x100 at the Olympics. Who is that? And then it was, oh, okay, that's Jaleel. Did you see how he runs after like the play when your drill is over and you run to the end zone?
75 yards.
He goes as hard as he possibly can with his knees. You know, when you do the high knees thing, he has his knees above his head. It's unreal how hard that guy runs.
You know what I love about that is he's training himself to finish. And a lot of people will just half-ass finish to the end zone. Like him picking up his knees is him playing the game in his mind that I'm going to have to run through contact at some point to score this touchdown. And you know what I did see? For as much maligned as Troy Franklin has been by the coaching staff, I noticed that every time he touched the football today, he touched the end zone every single time, whether it was, routes versus air, whether it was 7-on-7. And you know what? That's growth. I love it. Like he understands he's got to be a pro.
Is that Pete Carmichael who yells at him every chance he gets?
It's actually, I figured it out. It's John Morton, who was he's the pass game coordinator. He was Sean Payton's wide receiver coach for the majority of the time in New Orleans. And he is a hard ass. He's a really good friend of David Shaw's. They worked together actually at University of San Diego. They both had rehab jobs with Jim Harbaugh. And Johnny Moe, as he's called in the coaching circles, he's very well respected, and he is an absolute hard ass. I love watching him coach football. Like he's one of my favorites to watch.
Well, but Troy Franklin has been yelled at. I mean, rookie camp, mini camp, mandatory mini, and first days of this camp. I guess you only get yelled at, coach, if they love you. But boy, he has been yelled at time after time after time.
Yeah, as a coach, you're typically yelling at a guy because if he doesn't respond soon, like you're moving on. And I was worried about that with Troy Franklin because I even watched it from like one day to the next during OTAs, and he didn't respond. Like he didn't change his habits. And I'm like, this is a bad deal. And then today I'm like, okay, I see you, Troy. But on the flip side with Troy, what's going on with his boy, Bo Nix, in back-to-back days, overthrowing him after he gets behind coverage and team reps by 10, 12 yards? Like, that's his guy. It's part of the reason that they're here together. Like, you've got to connect on those, man.
Vic, any impressions? I mean, how many training camps have you covered with the Broncos, bro? I mean, what are we?
This is 25.
25. Wow.
Yeah. No, 26. This is 26 for the
20. So you go back to Greeley too, obviously.
Yeah. This is 26 consecutive training camps. And I guess I'm not going to get old boomer on you and tell you things have changed and they're far different, but they have. It's a completely different mentality. It's almost a scientific approach to the game now. It's not just everybody just have fun and run around the field and interact with the players and let them just hit each other for 4 hours straight and then come back and do it again in the afternoon. It's a completely different approach to football. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but it's a different approach. Every practice looks the same to me.
Yeah.
And then it's followed by press conferences. There's no one-on-one interaction.
No.
That's gone by the wayside. I don't know. You tell me. The only way you get a one-on-one interaction is if you request an interview. You have to do it ahead of time. And that's closely monitored, and it's on the clock, and it's very quick. So that's all gone. And I don't know what to say about that because you can't really get to know these guys the way we knew them in the past. That's gone. And there's a reason for that. They want it that way.
Yeah, COVID did some interesting things, that's for sure. But I was even surprised today that is the deal. And no interviews were allowed today, at least not for us.
Yeah.
Some TV people had some things set up. But that is as restrictive as you get. Yeah. Although Sean Payton is letting the media. So last year, Mike, you should know, we were all up on the Hill, which is not a bad place to watch. Not at all.
It's better.
It definitely
I'll be there tomorrow with my kids.
Well, it would have been better today. And Sean Payton actually said that he kind of lost track of like the fans were coming out. So they were actually scheduled to be on the field closest to the media. And they just changed that today. So they went back-to-back days on the field because they wanted to please the fans.
Which is 100% the right thing.
Yeah. And, they've done the field, and they have the field going, north-south now, but they've had it going east-west many times before. I don't know, Vic. The fields looked like a million different things over the
Immaculate,
years.
though. They were immaculate, the field
Gosh.
today. Oh, my God. They were I could eat off those. This pizza right here, I would place that pizza in midfield, sit there, and just eat all day. That's how nice the fields were.
DMac, there was a moment before practice started when the early outs were coming for practice, and Vic and I were standing up during a break in the morning show, and the two of us dang near started pre-napping because the dang field looked so stinking good, man.
It almost made me cry.
It was
really
unbelievable. I was, as a football guy, I love the smell of fresh cut grass.
So do I.
I about pre-napped right there on the spot and got my first and last training camp as a media member. Cheers to that, boys.
Yeah, you did get yelled at a few times for not staying behind the line. I'm also a fan of the art of the mow, the craft of mowing. And when they do it right, the way they've done it over there, it brings a tear to my eye. It's a beautiful thing.
Are we drinking beers tonight? Are we all having beers? I mean,
I
I'm a wine drinker,
so
I promised myself, guys, I would not have a glass of wine until I go to Italy on Wednesday. I'm going to Italy Wednesday night, and I was going to save myself. But that promise lasted all of 3.5 hours. So I drank wine at my mom's today, and I'm going to drink wine tonight. So
Vic, once you smell that dough starting to rise and that sauce is starting to marinate, you got to have a glass of red, man. It's a no-brainer.
All right, what are we looking forward to for tomorrow, Mike? What are you hoping to see?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the entire practice with a view and not actually running a radio show during it. So I'm taking my 7 and 9-year-old. When I told my 7-year-old I was able to secure tickets to training camp practice, he almost fainted. He was so excited. He's obsessed with Bo Nix. I think I'm going to end up getting him a Bo Nix jersey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I am the ultimate sucker. But I'll say this, I'm looking forward to watching the entire flow of practice, seeing the 11-on-11. And I don't care if my kids are in a full-on fist fight. Like, I'm just going to let them work it out because I'm watching the dang practice.
That is so cool that your kids are actively involved in the same career that you're in. Like, they love football. They're passionate. My kids are never passionate about sports like your kid. I don't know about yours, DMac, in this business. Mine, they played sports.
Yeah.
They weren't like, when they were little kids, they weren't like, hey, let's go to training camp, Dad. They wanted no part of it.
I took my kids when they were maybe 6 and 8, something like that, to a training camp. It was miserable. They hated it.
Exactly.
They were bored to tears, and they never really went back. The next time my son went back, my younger son, he's covering the camp. So at least he's working a little bit. But it's like that. We have a question from Andon. By the way, you can tip. You can put money in the tip jar. How about that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my tip jar. Same question as earlier. Just
trying to figure out the math on that, man. That's girl math. They call that girl math these days.
Bo Nix feels like an actual plan for the future. Do you guys think Zach Wilson and Stiddy are an actual real franchise quarterback choice? If Nix isn't the plan, am I buying a Mahomes jersey? Oof, man. Oh, my God.
Vic, I'll let you take that one to start.
Man, it's just too early to tell. Everybody wants to come to these conclusions after the first couple days. I can't tell you. I don't know what the future is. I don't know if he's the future. I don't know if he's got that it factor. You know the it factor. I've got to watch him play. I've got to see him in a moment of violence. I've got to see how he handles a defense that's out to get him and hurt him. Nobody's out to hurt him so far. Coach, we're watching practices where nobody's trying to hurt the quarterback. Until that threat of being hurt is in effect, I can't evaluate you. Sorry.
And for me, I'd say this. I mean, DMac, as much as I, kind of gave you the evil eye at our draft party when Bo Nix was drafted, and you actually did pre-nap right there on the draft stage. It was for me, like, you made this decision as a franchise. Sean Payton, as a guy that he is known to be an offensive genius, a quarterback developer. This is his guy. And you were right in saying, like, you just made the move. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the future. The future is the investment, and the investment is Bo Nix. And then we all get to see it.
To be fair, listen, man, I didn't know what I was talking about on this until the Broncos went through the painful experience of Paxton Lynch. And I didn't know, hey, man, you draft somebody in the 20s or second round, third round, what's the difference? But after that was such a disaster, And Mike, you have to understand, man, we were coming off a Super Bowl championship, Vic, and we have no quarterback. It was bizarre. And we all just thought, hey, Paxton Lynch, hey, cool, right? Like, here we go. We're just going to keep this train rolling. And I'll tell you this, man, the defense was so good, Vic, we didn't even give a shit. We didn't care. We're like, they'll be fine, right? Anybody could quarterback this team.
Sure.
And boy, oh boy, oh boy. And that's when I started looking into like, well, what is the deal here? And it's just been 10 years of the same thing over and over and over again. So I get it. Listen, I get the, hesitations about it, but the Broncos have never done this. You got to understand this, man. Not since Jay Cutler have they taken a swing at a quarterback like they have with Bo Nix. So to me, it's a no-brainer, Vic. I would just get to the future as soon as humanly possible. I wouldn't mess around with it.
Makes sense. I asked Jeff about that. Why not just make a run at it right now? And he says, Sean Payton is one of those entitlement coaches. He doesn't like entitled people, and he's not going to entitle his young quarterback this early. By the way, I'm sitting here as we do this, and thanks for setting this up, DMac. I think it's really cool that we at the station. I'm watching the opening ceremonies from France in Paris.
I got it downstairs,
Yeah. The French are some weird freaking people, man.
So weird, man. They're so strange.
Dude, they're also clearly assholes, too. I mean,
it's so clear. It's so clear.
I love watching the opening ceremonies. This is freak show city. This is beyond art. Like, I know they're trying to be artsy and shit like that, but dude, this is like, what is this? What is this?
Hey, all right, because I'm recording it downstairs. Are they on boats for the
river
boats
Seine,
fine.
baby?
They're going down the river, but there's some weird shit going on off and on, and they're doing. It's just I don't know. They're trying too hard, in my estimation. Just show me the athletes. Tell me a little bit about their stories.
Okay.
Don't try too hard with these messages, these artistic endeavors. Just calm down, France. Freaks.
Hey, by the way, our boy Peyton Manning, is he there the whole time? Like, he's like
They said he's a guest. I think he's a guest commentator for at least
tonight?
the first week. I think the
there
the
he is.
Part,
Oh,
you know Peyton Manning's not staying for the duration of the Olympics. He's going to get to some training camps here.
I was going to say he's sitting there.
He's probably already twitching right now. He's up there like, what am I doing, man?
He's
Like, this is not football.
Clarkson, watching all these boats come by the river, and he's probably going, "What the hell is this, man?" Yeah, I guarantee it.
Kenny Chesney was at camp today. What's your favorite Kenny Chesney song?
He was.
Oh, man.
You didn't know he was at camp, Vic?
No, I didn't see him there.
Boy, and he loves by the way, they let Kenny Chesney work out in the facility. At least they have.
Done that before.
Okay, so do you guys know Kenny Chesney's most famous interaction with Sean Payton?
No.
So Sean Payton was a part of the Boys of Fall, the song Boys of Fall, the music video, which was almost like a very small docuseries on football. And I think it might have.
Yeah,
it was an ode to football, and Sean Payton was affiliated with it in some capacity.
Wow.
They're good friends. They truly are really good friends. And obviously Kenny Chesney playing tomorrow night, I believe.
Yes, he
at
is.
Empower Field. So my favorite, and it's not an original, but it's please come to Boston.
Oh, okay. Please come to Boston for the springtime. I know that song.
I believe it's the Kenny Loggins. Is it not a? I think it's a Kenny Loggins.
Please come to Boston for them. Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
The original is really good too, by the way.
My favorite is "There Goes My Life." If you don't shed a tear to "There Goes My Life," I don't think you got a heart. That's what I say. Vic, do you got a favorite one or not? Probably not, right?
Fly Me to the Moon, or did he say
there you go. I thought that was going in.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, Chesney doesn't have enough vowels in his last name for you, Vic. Not even close. He needs like 4 more vowels.
It's Chesney, and it ends with a Y. What the Vic? Seriously, what are we doing there?
Dude, I have, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but when I play golf, it has become my rhythmic partner. I listen now to country music when I play golf, and I love it.
There you go.
I'll throw some Stapleton on. It eases me. It soothes me.
Hey Vic, have you gotten the Zach Bryan bug yet?
Oh, my daughter is a Zach Bryan fanatic.
Yeah, but Zach Bryan's depressing though, right?
No, not. It's very much singer-songwriter. There's upbeat music. It's got the full scope. It's not just formulaic country music.
Well, I love Morgan Wallen. I'm
fantastic.
totally into that. And I'll the playlist, I'll go all day when I play golf on that stuff. So it's some of the other, you get into some country music where it sounds like the same song every time. Those 100%. Are the ones where I'm like, okay, calm down here.
That's where like Carrie Underwood, even though she's got great, stems, and all that stuff, but I can't do it with her music. Her music stinks. It's awful.
All right, last one. We'd be remiss if we didn't get your comment, Vic, about Russell Westbrook officially joining the Nuggets.
I think it's great. I think somebody asked me, would this have been your first choice? Well, of course it wouldn't have been my first choice. But the reason why it's a good choice, they didn't have the financial means to go out and get the player they wanted. We know this. They did not have their financial means to do so. Within the financial resources they had, I think it's a home run shot. And if it doesn't work and it's a grounder to first, you cut bait. It's a 2-year deal. It's not that big a deal. It's not that much money. If they were to cut him, even though it's a 2-year with the player option, it's not costing him that much. So I love the risk reward. And I love the fact that he's going to bring that dog in him. This team needs more dog.
All right, guys, that'll just do it for this. We're going to try to do this every night during training camp, including the weekend, if you guys are up for it. And we'll bring other people from altitude on as well. And I don't want to interrupt any vacation, so we'll just take it as it comes. And Vic, you're off to Italy on Wednesday. That is awesome. That's fantastic. And Mike's at the Gaylord, and I'll just say,
there's the view right now of the lazy river tonight at the Gaylord.
Looks great.
Good for you.
Fantastic, man.
And I'll ask if I could put one request in, Vic. I know you frequent Our Lady of whatever church.
Yeah.
Just say a quick prayer for your boy Mike Sanford here, because it's me and the 3 kids for the next 48 hours.
No wonder you're at a resort. I was like, why is he at a resort? He wants the built-in babysitter.
That is awesome. That is awesome, actually.
Hey, I paid the piper with a lot of recruiting miles in the last 20 years, so I got to use these points somewhere, man. And here we are.
Smart, man. And that's how an unemployed guy does. Hangs out at the Gaylord for the weekend. Good to be broke. All right, boys. We'll see you later.
See you guys.
Cheers, brothers.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
We'll see you. Bye.